Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Formula Sim Racing for round 3 of our IndyCar Series. We're hitting up mid-Ohio today, and you are tuning right on in at the start of qualifiers. We're not going to be waiting around at all, and well, these drivers aren't as well. They've been hitting it hard in the practices, really learning this track like the back of their hands. It's really quite interesting to see, especially since mid-Ohio is one of the most complex circuits, I have to say, is in the IndyCar sort of series we're running here across the 5 races. We're at the midpoint. I am Corey Dyer, otherwise known online as Digital Bacon, joined in the booth, of course, here by Cameron Roger, who is out on the track, so he's going to be probably not tuning in so much. And then, of course, we have Felix van Delft, my co-commentator and the man behind the scenes running all the buttons, making sure that this broadcast is sent out to you guys at home. First of all, Felix, how are you doing today, my dude?
I'm doing great, Corey. Thanks for introducing me, and I'm looking forward to this race today. We've got 45 laps of Mid-Ohio coming up, which will be extremely exciting. Qualifying has just started, so let's see how these drivers are doing.
Yep, so quickly rundown of the track since you just brought that up. 45 laps, the shortest circuit here in the IndyCar series that we're running, 2.2 miles. That is 3.6 kilometers for you guys at home, and they are some tricky turns. There's going to be 13 corners here, and well, Argenis Riera has just found out the hard way that it's quite easy to slip and slide off of them. For you guys at home as well that are tuning in, we're going to have a little mini map showing everything that's going on, and there on screen you can see the little differences of the blip. So green, of course, is the focus, who we're currently watching. Pink, is the leader. Blue is who's on the outlap or just about getting lapped, you know, blue flag sort of treatment. And of course, hollow green is who is in the pit lanes. First up, we've finally got a couple of drivers making their mark on the track, just coming in with the first qualified lap. We're starting to see the 104s ring on in. Felix here, we're expecting the 104 to be some good race pace, but we're expecting a little bit more from a qualifying lap, aren't we?
Yeah, we definitely are. Qualifying, we saw in practice the quickest time was somewhere around the 103.0. So I expect these drivers to go a bit quicker. Dylan Scrivens just did a 104.0, so a second quicker should theoretically be possible, but let's see if these drivers are able to do that under the pressure of obviously the limited time that they have.
Yeah, and at the moment, I'm going to be looking at Tom van Egmond as he is just coming around wonderfully over the line, and that is the first 103.7. A little bit more to gain. He knows that he's going to be going back to the pits, maybe changing up a little bit and just getting ready to go out on another flying lap. Dylan Scrivens is doing that as well, going very, very wide there. Definitely feeling that he's pulled over. He knows that lap is done. Felix, let's talk about qualifying here, because we've got 15 minutes, unlimited goes. Unlike the normal FSR season, you know, when we're doing the Formula 1 where you only have 12 laps that you can use up. Here it's unlimited. So you'll see a lot of these drivers, if something goes right, they'll quickly just dart off to the side, you know, get out the way and then restart, go back to the pits so they can do another outlap, aren't they? They're going to make the most out of that time.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to do as many good laps as you can do. Possibly. Like you said, in the regular Formula Sim Racing season we had this past season, you had a maximum of 12 laps. So that would normally mean that you have 4 sets of in-lap, hot lap, and out-lap, or the other way around. So that puts a bit more pressure on actually finishing your lap, because in case you make a mistake on that final lap, you don't have the possibility to just quickly go back to the pit lane and then just go for a hot lap again, because you don't have the amount of laps left. So that puts a bit more pressure in the regular season. Here in the IndyCar Series, we don't have that. Drivers can just do as many laps as they want, obviously within the 15 minutes time limit. But I expect the drivers to go rather quickly. Dylan Scrivens just started his lap. He is already quite fast with a 1 minute 3.4. Let's see if he can improve.
Yeah, so here he is going around the keyhole, just making it through turn 2 very cleanly. Oh, am I being absolute numpty? No, that was the carousel. I am being a complete and utter numpty there. Not going to be able to improve upon that as he stays with 103.488. Just seeing Cameron Roger come through to 5th with 104. Definitely earlier when he was setting those qualifying paces, about the mid 103s. So expecting a lot. Let's have a little look at our Argenis Riera here, Felix, as he has just lost it, it would seem, on the back last turn in that last one. Going from turn 12 into turn 13. We're talking about this just in a little warm-up. That is going to be the one which really, really sticks it painfully at the last sort of hurdle there, because that change of pace is so hard to handle, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Also the changing curvature of the track, and I believe it's a bit weirdly cambered, so it's a very and there's a bit of bumps in there as well, so it's very difficult to keep the car stable through there. But you want to get as good as an exit as you can out of there, because it goes on to the start-finish straight. And obviously, when you start your lap, you want to be as quick as possible over the line into turn 1.
Yeah, just starting to see a couple drivers come out. Pierce Schulze and Cameron Roger right next to each other. Didn't quite get to see who that was behind them. Unfortunately, we'll be able to check now on the back strength. It is Argenis Riera. So I want to have a little look at this trio here, Felix. You know, you're behind the cameras, giving you a little bit of a heads up. Because these 3 lads have come out at the exact same time. So how they're going to handle this will be quite interesting for me. You know, are they going to let Cameron Roger try and get a little bit of distance and spread out between themselves? Or maybe use this as a bit of slipstreaming? They're on the outlap now, so they've got to be thinking it, maybe being a little bit conservative. They want to be careful in case a driver comes up behind them. They look pretty clean at the moment and shouldn't have any problems there. But slipstreaming, how big a factor is it here in rFactor 2?
We've seen it in the regular Formula SimRacing season where, for example, the guys between Michele D'Alessandro, the world champion of 2018, and Mohamed Patel, world champion of last year, especially in Spa, I think, and also in tracks like Paul Ricard, where there were long straights where you can really gain from that extra couple of kilometers that you gain in the slipstream. We saw that really helped the drivers in getting the top positions in qualifying. So I wouldn't be surprised if people try that out here as well, because there's quite a long straight after that keyhole turn, turn number 2. So might be able to benefit from that, as Peter Schulze there goes a bit wide over the curb and onto the grass.
Yeah, for me, that's going to be Pierce Schulze's lap sort of ruined. Behind him, I don't know what's happened to Argenis Riera. No, he's gone back to the pits. He wasn't liking it at all. And Cameron Roger has got such a lead. He didn't want to give that slipstreaming option over the Peter Schulze. So Pierce not going to be able to gain anything of Cameron Roger here. Cameron Roger definitely looking quite fast. He has just set a green, so not the best on the track, but he is going faster than previous. It's a white middle sector. Let's see if he can pull it together in the last one. But that going off on the grass, a very, very harsh break into turn 12. I think that is his lap ruin. He knows it. Whether he stays on and tries to set another fast lap, which it's looking like he's trying, but that's to skid off onto the grass. And that can only mean doom for him, as he has to go back to the pits, have a good hard think about what went wrong there. Because Felix, we're coming down to the last 5 minutes here. 2, maybe 3 laps is all these lads can hope for now to put out onto the track.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, Kirill Birukov was able to set the quickest lap time of the session so far, 1 minute 3.3. So he is looking to be quick as well. One of the World Championship drivers of last season. That is, I think, looking for another team for next season. And hoping to do well in this IndyCar Series now as well, it seems. So far doing a good job at it.
Yeah, Thomas Lenz just going off as well in qualifying. These guys on track are putting their all into this. And that's the problem. Race pace is a lot more consistent, isn't it, Felix, here? But qualifying, that's where you're giving it all. And you do make more mistakes, don't you?
Yeah, the limits are very close on this track. You don't have asphalt runoffs all over the place. It's pretty much either you're on the track and you're on the black stuff, or you're on the grass and into the wall, probably.
That is, unless, you know, you're going into the sand, the big sand traps around to try and slow drivers down. But there's really only hay bales stopping you from just going smashing into that wall, and that can be the end of a race. Like we were saying, it's such a small track, this one, so intricate, so delicate. And so if you do not get that race line correct, like I said earlier, the turn 7 and 8, that little jump there, and then turn 12 and 13, which Cameron Rogers just going on through now, that's going to be where you want to make sure you don't make those mistakes. It can be so costly. Cameron Rogers, unfortunately, not able to improve on his speed there, but he's currently sitting at 1:03.58. Looking quite good for him here, as he should be able to get second row of the grid.
Yeah, Kirill Burikov just improved on his provisional pole positioning lap time as well, and he's still going at it for another lap. As I say that, he makes the mistake and parks his car to try for another lap. Yeah, exactly.
Trying to have a little look around. Pierre Schulze is just on his fast lap as well. He is absolutely flying around. Just trying to keep control of it. It's so hard as he comes into turn 12. Can he keep it tight through 13? That is a lot of oversteer, a little bit of wiggle. But I think that's got to be the time lost. He knows it, into the wall, back to the pits. One more chance for him in the Meme-mobile straight away. He is out of there. Not going to hang about, as he knows it's going to take about 1.10 to get around, on your slow lap, because you've got to allow cars through. But then he's got to get that 1.3. And if he can, maybe try and carry that flying lap into a second flying lap. But those are quite hard to do because you have to take the extra fuel for it, don't you?
Exactly. You have to take the extra fuel for that other lap on your first lap. And as you do that first lap, your car is a bit heavier and you wear your tires probably a little bit more. So on the second lap, you also have less tires compared to your first lap. So it might not be the ideal case to do your qualifying lap on, but perhaps for some drivers it's a bit more comforting that they know I'll make a small mistake in the last corner, I can at least directly go for another lap and try again.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Now, just have a little look around the track, because Pierre Schulze is just coming round to the carousel, so hopefully he'll be able to do something. But as I said, Tom Van Ekman goes into the 102s, the first lad to do that. Absolutely outstanding stuff for him, and he is now 0.37 seconds ahead of Kirill Burkov in second. Here's Schulze. He has shown some impressive stuff throughout this league, throughout the FSR season, and then, of course, in the IndyCar as well. But can he keep this car under his control? It has been his Achilles heel, just not being able to keep it stuck to the ground. It's got to be glued, and you have to get those racing lines right, especially with all of the curvature of the track, the camber, and then, of course, the ups and downs over the little bumps and hills. And that is it. He has just lost it. Does regain it very, very nicely, as he is now going into turn 7 through to 8. We'll be coming up to 9 and into Thunder Valley. Just got to make sure that that little mistake does not turn out too costly into the carousel. We've seen him lose it here into turn 13 way too often for my liking, and I'm hoping that he can stick it. He has, and that has got to be an improvement, and boy howdy, it is up to 7th. It's looking like he wants to continue this into a fast lap. Does he have the fuel to carry onwards? We'll have to see.
Yeah, he doesn't have the time to go back into the pits and do another outlap. There's only 50 seconds remaining, so I guess he has the fuel. I guess he calculated it correctly. Maybe not, but then we'll see soon enough, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just trying to quickly hop through the drivers and hopefully come across to him. But it's going to be a really hard one. If he can pull it off, that's absolutely nuts. But I'd imagine more often than not, you're just going to be running out of fuel right on that last turn, because if you're carrying around that extra weight, and especially just how he quickly got that next lap started, he's seemingly okay. Going off onto the sausage curve, though, and that could have just ruined things for him as he comes through the carousel. Looking at the times now, and he has just set double greens. Let's hope it hasn't hurt him too much. Unfortunately, he stays in 7th here. It's an improvement on his time. but it did hurt. If he didn't touch that sausage curb, we could have seen him snuck up into 6th. I don't think he'd have been able to get the, better than 1.38, but he's one step further back on the grid, and especially with a rolling start. It's a lot more. I find the rolling starts a lot more painful for your situation than the just grid start, because you can make that back if you've got good reactions, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. We saw just a moment ago Kirill Burikov not able to make the best of his lap and park the car on the side of the road. Cameron Roger, though, he's quick in the first sector. Can he put himself up to the front row, perhaps? Let's see, coming to the line. Yes, he is. Oh, P2 for Cameron.
Felix, you ask and he will deliver. Front row from him, and let's just face it, this front row is going to be interesting, to say the least, purely because with these rolling starts, in normal IndyCar, you start your rolling start just after turn 3. Here, because it's rFactor, we don't have that same luxury. You have to start on the start-finish line. That turn 1, especially into the keyhole, that could be a killer.
Yeah, we've seen in the last 2 races that the starts are kind of the Achilles heel of a lot of these drivers, and mistakes are made, slight bit of contact, slight mistakes that just put you off, maybe onto the grass. And like we said already before, this track is not forgiving. When you are onto that grass, you're basically out of control of your car, and you just gotta hope you're not gonna end up in the wall.
What was it, last week? I think it was Felix, where something like 11 or 12 drivers finished the race out of the starting 24 or 25. It was ridiculous, to say the least, because drivers were getting very feisty. It wasn't that initial start in rolling start collision was a bit of a killer. That took out about 4 drivers in total with suspension damage and whatnot. But it was more little battles, one-on-one fights during the race, which really hurt drivers, where they would collide a little bit because the tracks are quite thin. I'm thinking this week we're either going to see a repeat of that, or drivers would have learned and maybe be a little bit more, cautious around the track.
Yeah, let's at least hope so. I know that a lot of these drivers have quite a bit of experience, also in the Pro Ace and also World Championship with Kirill Burikov attending here. So theoretically, they should have experience to know to be careful in those first couple of corners and in the first lap. But we never know how it will turn out.
Yeah, and especially with this starting grid, we don't know how this is going to develop, because we have got 45 laps here, ladies and gentlemen, at home. What we've seen is the fastest drivers. We've seen who can put down the fastest lap on track, but we don't know who's the most consistent driver. And that all comes down to race pace and making sure you don't make those silly little mistakes, like we saw earlier from Peter Schulze during those qualifiers. But, of course, like we said, in qualifying, you're pushing it to the max. So, of course, you're going to make more mistakes. The drivers going through their warm-ups right now, just making sure they got everything set. They're quite happy. Just looking back through race view, the only 2 drivers here, Felix, that got their fastest time and will be starting off with the slower, harder compound are actually Christian Lazaro, who's going to be starting off in 11th, and Aleski Maizin in 14th. Everyone else going for that softer tyre. Would you expect that around this track, and how do you think they might be playing things out?
Obviously, we have the mandatory stop they at least have to make, and they have to switch tyres to the other compound at least once. So I guess having the harder compound at the start of the race isn't a bad thing. Because obviously you will have the lower fuel load at the end of the race when you have the softer compound, so you should be able to go a bit quicker. But that said, you obviously need to be able to somewhat stick with the drivers on the softer compound in front of you to be able to really capitalize on that advantage.
Yeah, just normally whenever you see those harder tyres, like the strategy is to be middle of the pack, isn't it, really? So that you're holding people up behind, and then you're also following the lines of those ahead and hoping that you can stick to them and then gain an extra couple of laps, isn't it? I mean, the only time that I can remember was back on the Circuit of the Americas in the Formula series, where I can't remember the young lad's name, but essentially he was able to match the soft tire pace with the harder tire and then make it last an extra 2 laps. And that was his whole strategy, essentially, was to make those harder tires hurt, but he's making it up because he's actually not losing any time at all. And I'm hoping around this track, you know, that will help, but the softer tire has got to be the main choice here, right? Because we're talking about the lack of grip.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that softer tire, everyone's going to be making it onto that medium tire, but I'm expecting, you know, those starting the softs to swap onto the mediums and then swap back onto the softs by the end of the race.
Yeah, exactly. The soft tire is obviously gonna be the quicker tire because it's a softer tire, but since they also need to at least once in the race have to be on the medium tires, you would prefer to go on that earlier into the race than later. But we'll have to see and wait what the drivers will decide. I guess most of the drivers will go, like you said, go onto the medium tires after or in their first stop, and then maybe we will see somebody try and go to the end on that set already.
Yeah.
But perhaps somebody is also some people are gonna pit for that second time, go back to the softer compound as well.
Yeah, because for me, when we look back at Road Atlanta, the previous race, I think drivers moved from the soft onto the medium tire a little too late. We're looking at them moving it at about the 45% to the 50% mark, and then that medium tire, they didn't know they were, because they didn't have the grip. They're actually skidding over the place, which was spotting the tires, you know, and ruining them quicker. So here, I'm thinking maybe these drivers go at the 40% mark, and get those medium tires to last another 40%, and then just try and hammer out that last 20% of the race on those soft tires, not giving a damn how they look after them, because they've got to make out the most speed at that point, you know, where your fuel is so low, you're going to be able to put on faster lap times, where we could see these drivers get back down into the 1.3s, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, just letting these lads finish up their warm-ups. Felix, I think we should head this on over to a break. Let everyone at home quickly run off, go grab a drink, go quickly make a coffee, a cup of tea, because in just over 4 minutes, we'll be back with the start of the race here at Mid-Ohio. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the race. We've had qualifying, but now we have got to get the rolling start underway and these drivers onto track. There's still a couple left to load on in. That's a little bit worrying, but everyone just there in time. My name is Corey Dyer, joined, of course, in the casting booth by Felix van Delft. Felix, these drivers getting ready. We've already seen what they can do in qualifying and a little glimpse of their race pace here in the warm-up. Are you as excited as I am, buddy?
I definitely am. We've seen already in the IndyCar Series in the previous 2 rounds that there's some really great racing going on between the drivers here. Obviously, that ends sometimes in a bit of tears into the wall, perhaps. But it's action and it's nice to see some harsh battling as well.
So, quick rundown of the grid. Tom van Egmond coming out first, setting the pole position with the only 1.02. It was actually a 102.846. That's the fastest lap we have seen here yet. In second will be Cameron Rogers, as he just got in with the the second fastest lap, so he'll be joining on the front row. Kirill Burkov in third, Jacob Reed in fourth, Dylan Scrivens fifth, Argenis Riera sixth, Peter Schulze seventh, Pavlov in eighth, Thomas Watch in ninth, 10th will be Matt Legalaz, 11th Christian Larazzo, Thomas Lemps will take 12th, Faros will be 13th, Meisen in 14th, and then Chris Krob did not set qualifying time. We saw him in warm-up. Maybe we're thinking he just wants to start from the back of the grid. Now, Felix, I was going to be asking you, who is your driver to watch out for? I think we're going to have to wait for that one as drivers are coming up to the starting line, and there they will be a go-going. Oh, Jacob Reed already trying to gain some space. Cameron Roger holds on to a second. Everything fairly clean, but the keyhole can ruin that. Cameron Roger tried to dart for the inside. He had a little sniff, but didn't like the smell so much and backed off. Pavlov getting overtaken by Matt Legas. And oh me, oh my. Already starting to see these drivers who are being a bit cautious this week. Starting to see those little opportunities like Scrivens right now, looking on the inside of Pavlov, wanting to take it, and he does. Pavlov just moving aside, knowing that he's got the next turn, he's got the inside, but does he have the pace to hold on to it? No. Scrivens makes the jump and gets up to 6th. Upfield, Tom van Egmond is starting to gain a little bit of space. Cameron Roger behind him with Jacob Reed in first, and Argenis Riera a little bit further back, a second back in 4th. So the front 3, are they going to be able to run away with this, or is Cameron Roger going to be able to find a couple of attempts and close that on Egmond? We'll have to find out. Felix, for me personally, buddy, everything has gone so clean today. I think these drivers should give themselves a little bit of commendation. As I say that, though, Christian Lazaro has just come into the pits. He had a little bit of a collision with Thomas Wack there.
Yeah, the start was really clean, at least compared to the other two, the first 2 series. As I say, that Cameron Rogers looking for a move on Tom van Egmond, but backs out of it for now. What I wanted to say is we saw a small collision on the start-finish straight right at the start of the first lap, but nothing too major, and really nice to see that these drivers have learned from the last 2 races and really did a nicely and clean start.
So, for the guys at home, we may sound a little bit condescending here. We get it. But it's because this is a free league to play and it's just for fun. It's not like the World Championship Series, the Super Cup and all of that. This, you don't have to pay for. It's not ranked at all. It's just everyone comes along, has a little bit of fun, and drives in the Indy cars, which you otherwise wouldn't get to drive in with FSR. So, of course, you're going to have loads of different levels, and that's why you quite often see more crashes, a little bit more sloppier driving, as Chris Cobb himself has just been spun out in the grass on carousel. Zabel will pick it up, no damage to him, but 13th. He'll have to deal with that as he gets back into the mix, and we'll have to make up a good 15 seconds just to catch on up with Thomas Lenz. whilst the rest of the pack are all, you know, being quite neat and tidy. This is relatively strange for what we've seen so far with the IndyCar stuff. But these drivers, maybe on this first stint of time, not going to risk it, make sure that they get the distance and get it clean. Upfield now. I'm just going to say that we should watch Cameron Rogers. Unfortunately, Thomas Wack has had to DNF for the race because Cameron Roger here, he is getting it close, isn't he, Felix? He is looking like an overtake. I doubt he's going to be able to pull it off here at the keyhole unless he is incredibly ballsy. Yeah, not going to be able to find it. He's about 3/10 behind first here, behind Eggman. But I'm thinking this lap, if he just finds that right turn, he could overtake here.
Yeah, in the slipstream now, out of turn 3 into turn 4. Not really able to gain a lot of speed there. Goes a bit sideways. Smoke coming off the tires. I'm sure his tires won't really like that.
Yeah, they won't be thanking him at all. Of course, down into turn 8 and round 9 into Thunder Valley. A long straight, starting your return back to the pits. Unfortunately, Cameron Roger just not being able to gain anything. If anything, he is actually losing a little bit of time. 1/10 lost this lap. And he is going to be thinking to himself, how do I get past Eggman in front of me? And Eggman is setting. He just set the fastest mid-sector here. So these two are sort of unparalleled to the rest of the pack. And Jacob Reed, I'm liking his drive so far here, Felix, where he's just watching the other two. He's going at the same pace of them, but being that 2 seconds behind, he's there really not fine for anything. He doesn't want to get involved. And if there's a little collision, as Cameron Roger goes up on the outside now, hello. That's a very ballsy move as he then gets the inside through China Beach and takes first. Don't know where he got the speed. Of course, it's from the slipstream, but that was massive. That was almost like it flicked the DRS switch, of course, which we don't have here in the IndyCar.
Yeah, exactly. Mega overspeed coming into turn 4 and then just able to stick it around the outside, keep it there and make the corner. Also, obviously, nice space being left there by Tom van Egmond. Respect for the other drivers as well. And Cameron Roger in the lead now. And I think he's going to try and make a gap to Tom van Egmond now.
Oh, big happenings back in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. As Dylan Scrivens has had to just quickly come into the pits. There's a little bit of collision as Peter Schulze was able to climb to 6th. And Birkhoff going to Pavlov beside him. That was a little bit of argy-bargy. Someone should tell these lads they're not having a game of rugby out there. Argenis Riera seeing all this going on in his mirrors. Is probably going to be a little bit cautious now as the drivers behind him, they're feisty. They want to climb some spaces. And he, of course, will want to hang on to 5th.
Yeah, nice to see that these drivers can stick together so well this so far into the race. We're 6 laps in, out of 45 now. And still the mid-pack is very close to each other.
Yeah, the mid-pack incredibly close. Let's have a little continue to look at Argenis Riera and Pierre Schultz. Of course, they are leading that mid-pack. Just a little heads up as well to the front, where Cameron Rogers starting to extend his lead. Eggman just not fighting him for it. Will pull off, and he's now in contention with Jacob Reed. But Argenis Riera about, I would say 6/10 ahead of Schultz here, and Birkhoff about the same behind that. So these 4, with Pavlov included behind, are looking to just wait for their moment. They're waiting for little mistakes, maybe some early break-in or lock-up for them to then be able to get that little nose in, and be able to take the inside. At the moment, they're just playing it clean. They've had a little bit of, the argy-bargy, get a bit of that boisterous energy out earlier, and now they're just waiting. They don't want to make mistakes. All 3 and 4 of these lads learned the pain last week at Road Atlanta, and they're going to make sure that they finish this week.
So Birkhoff just behind Peter Schultz, trying to find some sort of gap, as there's a small mistake there from Argenis Riera coming into the carousel. Good exit by all of the drivers, so nothing really to gain by one of them.
Yeah, and we're just waiting now for the move. It looks like Peter should have a chance. Defending from Riera as Pierre goes out wide. He's going to try and make the outside line work. And, well, I don't even think work justifies that there. Amazing overtake as he completely dominates the keyhole and shows that he has the master key for it. Takes fifth. Agents Riera now under threat because behind him, Birkhoff is looking. He knows if Peter Schulze can overtake, and well, Peter Schulze goes off. Good control. Make sure he doesn't go into Riera, and well, all that work that he put in earlier now for nothing. Birkhoff, I would say, is probably the one to lose out massively there because he was so close to Riera that had to break to allow Peter back in. Didn't want any collision going, and I'm going to say to that, good sportsmanship and good risk assessment.
Yeah, definitely. Vladislav Pavlov is now also, because these guys are battling so hard, they're losing quite a bit of time, and Vladislav is closing in pretty rapidly now.
Yeah, Vladislav, I'm just having a little look at the times here, and he is roughly about 3 tenths a lap slower. So if these guys keep battling, those 3 tenths are sort of made up, you know, where it doesn't matter about his race pace as long as he's not getting involved and then just picks his maneuver correctly. He should be able to make an overtake, or he just holds on to 8th because there is a 10-second gap from Vladislav back to Farios. Continuing with these guys then, because like I said, I don't want to be a bit mean, but everywhere else on the track is very calm and tame. We do have actually Alexei Mizin just got overtaken by Dylan Scrivens, and Thomas Lenz is behind them, so that's another fight we can have a little look at here. But these lads just waiting for their moment to strike, and it's really just coming down to wrong braking. I'm really summing it up very simply here, Felix, but you can definitely see these lads maybe braking a little bit too late, so having to overshoot a turn, or braking too early, thus they're losing a lot of speed there.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite difficult at this track as well. There's a lot of blind corners where you don't really see the corner coming up until it's almost too late to start braking. So you really need to have your brake markers set well for yourself, and we've seen that it's quite difficult for these drivers to consistently be able to brake at the right place. Yeah,
I'm definitely noticing that in the fight between Alexei Mizin and Thomas Lenz. Thomas Lenz normally he must have a bit of a faster setup, a little bit less downforce, but the straights he is definitely climbing back some pace. But his braking throughout those really tight turns is not helping. Just saw as well a second ago, Peter Schulze has climbed back up into 5th. He once again overtook Argenis Riera. Birkhoff behind him is looking to make the pass as well. And Riera, I don't know what happened there. Very early braking, allowing Birkhoff through. And, well, Riera just losing 2 places in a matter of 20 seconds is absolutely nuts. He's looking to get it back, though. Sorry, Felix. What were you going to say, buddy?
It seems to me that Riera is just a bit... I don't know. Oh, Peter Schulze again in the same place as he did last time. Spins around, loses the positions he just gained.
And more, as Pavlov is in front of him now.
Yeah.
So, Birkhoff up to 5th. Jens Riera will be in 6th. Pavlov 7th now. And Peter Schulze... He just does not like it after the S's. He doesn't like that little jump, does he? He just cannot bunny hop, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. Seems that it's just a bit of his Achilles heel, and lost the car there twice now after he did a great overtake on the guys in front of him.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to push it because the problem with that jump, and you will see it catch out a lot of drivers as this race goes on, it's the hardest point of the track. And it's pretty much because you have to turn as you're landing. So either you go over the jump and brake at the top, which will cost you speed, but make it safer, of course, because you're not going to be thrown as far, meaning you've got that time to land, or you just got to try and make sure that you can stick it and, I don't know, turn as you're landing. It's a super hard maneuver, the pull, isn't it, Felix?
Yeah, definitely. It's not an easy place of this track at all, and I don't blame him for having some difficulties there. But of course, it's unfortunate for him and also for us as spectators, because it takes a bit away from the battle that we're watching.
Yeah, and just having a look back up to first and second, Tom van Egmond now unfortunately losing a bit of pace because he's getting caught up in traffic. Cameron Roger being able to overtake on the start-finish straight, so he's absolutely loving that, whereas Egmond getting caught up just before the keyhole, going out wide. And of course, offline there means he's not going to be perfect, so he has lost about 8/10 a second just from getting caught up in traffic. And this, I find, is absolutely crazy now, Felix, that after, what has been 12 laps, we're already starting to see overlapping occur. And this is going to be a big factor between Cameron Roger and Tom van Egmond. If Cameron Roger, unfortunately, gets caught up in traffic, Egmond could claw back some time on him, and it can go the opposite way, as we just saw as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tight track, and it's not easy for back markets to find the right spot to let the leaders pass, but also obviously not lose too much time, because they're racing as themselves. They're racing as well.
Yeah, and you quite often will see that. Maybe the race leaders just not going to push it on the turns to overtake. They'll just wait until the straights, because there are a good number of straights in this track, aren't there?
Yeah, definitely. By the way, first pitter, at least regular pitter, I think, is Argenis Riera. He's going onto the medium tires. So he will drop back to P9, right behind Dionysius Varos. I think also Dylan Scrivens is going to be relatively close to him.
Yeah, just having a little look at Scrivens, who is behind, sporting, is that the McLaren?
Yep, it is.
So definitely a little bit of a fanboy there. Love it. That's part of the draw to SimRacing, of course, is that you can drive the livery of your favorite teams. Of course, we didn't see that in the World Championship Series and all of that, because naturally you've got your own team to drive for. But here, in the For Fun sort of league that we're doing with the IndyCars, I mean, just to point it out, Piers Schulze in the Pepe Frog car. It's art, really. I think it's the beauty of sim racing summed up in a car.
Exactly.
And of course, I was going to say that. Sorry, Piers Schulze still stuck behind the others. That spin-off earlier is still cost him about 4 seconds, and I'm sure you're about to go on the Scrivens.
Yep.
I think I'm worried here because he's going at the same pace as Riera in front of him, and Scrivens is on the softer tire, but they are older. So we're starting to see like a weird little difference between them. We can start judging the tires, and these two are a good example for it, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. He has been on these tires for quite a while now as well. 9 laps. This is his 10th lap on these tires, and Argenis in front of him is only now on his 2nd lap of this set of tires. So even though they are the harder compound, I don't think they are much slower compared to Dylan Scrivens' tires.
And that harder compound does take longer to warm up as well, you got to remember. So these two seemingly going at the same pace right now. So a cold, harder compound and a warm, softer compound, seemingly about average. So for my mind, anyway, I'm looking at the difference between the soft and medium and thinking there's only got to be, I don't know, maybe half a second to a second difference a lap in them. Don't know who we just saw spin off. Actually, it was Dionysius Ferios. I have probably butchered that name completely, but it's interesting to see there with that spin-off, because it was a decent one. He's still a good 8 to 10 seconds ahead of Mize in 11th, and now we just had Thomas Lenz come into the pit for his stop. So we're actually starting to see these drivers come in to make that move over to the medium tire earlier than I expected here, Felix. Do you think, like, these lads are clearly not doing a one-stop race? They're going for the two-stop, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. Unless somebody like Thomas is really able to somehow saved these tires a lot more than he was able to save the tires.
No, Chris Cobb spins out into the wall, and that is a DNF for him. Seems like a little bit too much damage for him to be able to afford. So that is our second DNFer in this race. It's always sad.
Yeah, it's a shame. Obviously, it's a fun league, a fun race. So we want to see everybody have at least a nice race. And let's see if I can get a replay of what happened to Chris Cobb. Spun into the sand trap and then, yeah, DNF the car. So unfortunate for him. Let's hope he has better luck in the next few races.
So as well, just for you guys that didn't notice, Dylan Scrivens and Cameron Roger have both just gone in the pits. Matt Laguerre is actually just spinning out there. Unfortunately, Cameron Roger is going to be absolutely loving that as he's able to get ahead. And Cameron Roger is now only about 20 seconds behind Tom Van Egmond. On the newer tyres, remember, they are mediums. He's definitely going to try and pull off this undercut. If you're Egmond in this situation, Felix, how do you resist an undercut on you? How do you try and keep ahead after the your pit stop?
Obviously, the undercut is a bit less strong for Cameron because he's going to be on the medium tires. So they are going to be a bit more difficult to warm up. Like you said already before, they don't heat up as quickly as the softer compound do. So if I were Ton, I would just make sure I get a good lap time now. Perhaps he saved his tires a little bit, so just when this moment would come, he's
actually in the pits now, buddy.
Right. So he decides to quickly pit as soon as possible to try and maintain the gap he had before.
So I'm looking at that. They're both on the second straight, you know, after the grid line.
Right.
They're going... Cameron Rogers just left the keyhole. Eggman just going through the keyhole. So for me, I'm looking at this and going... There's only got to be about 2 seconds difference between these two lads. They are still so close. There was nothing gained from that undercut from Cameron Rogers, so maybe that was Eggman's plan. Like, instantly saw Cameron Rogers just pitted, I've got to pit the next lap, you know, to try and reduce any difference because they need to be running. I would imagine they want to be running the same strategy, and Cameron Roger is just the one pulling out these differences, and Eggman's going to be responding to it every single time.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. Well, it's a good strategy to not at least lose time to the driver in front of you, but obviously you're also going to be on the same tires at the same time with the same fuel load. So it's all down to driver skills then, and we've seen that Cameron seems to be quicker.
Holy moly!
Tom. So perhaps. Sometimes it's better to take a bit of risk to maybe go for that different strategy and that way try to get in front of the other driver instead of trying to find some pace now somewhere on the other tires when you already know that you're probably the slower driver when you are on the same compound at the same time.
Sorry, that holy moly then was purely at Jacob Reed, who has just proved your point wonderfully here, as he was third and behind by about 4 seconds before the whole maneuver sort of started. Now he's within 1.5 seconds of Tom Van Egmond. Him, by leaving that softer tire on longer and really pushing it and now moving over to the harder compound, has closed the gap on Egmond. Of course, he hasn't closed the gap on Roger, but on Egmond, it has worked for him. So Reed could be in a stage now where he can smell second place ahead of him. He's just got to try and push this harder compound a little bit more, which all three of these drivers are going to be doing anyway, because like I said, this is obviously looking like a 2 pit stop race for them unless they can do something magical and make these tires last way more than they should. But I don't know, Reed, he's putting off something interesting. I'd imagine he'd want to go for that later pit as well towards the end of the race.
Yeah, you would expect so to do. But we'll have to see. Perhaps you'll go for the undercut next time, just to throw the other driver a bit off.
I mean, he could do that, but then wouldn't it be a waste of the tires? Or,
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at this now. I'm thinking the soft tires, about 35% of the race they can do. So if he undercuts, it will be, well, if he was to undercut in comparison, it'll be near enough at the same point as the other drivers around him pit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So it would have to really stop a lot earlier on the tires than you would normally do, because they can theoretically go a bit longer. But like I said, sometimes you have to take the risk. You have to take the ballsy strategy calls to get the positions in a different way than just battling on track, which is difficult at tracks like these. Even though it has long straights, it's a narrow track with not much forgiveness if you make a mistake. So,
well, let's literally look at the person which is the prime example of everything you just said there, Felix, and that's Pierre Schulze. Again, we've looked at him a lot in this race because he's been getting into the mix of things, but he is still on the soft tires. Him and Pavlov in front of him are two of the very last drivers that I run in these soft tires. Kirill Birikov earlier had moved from soft to soft, so he's going to be looking to finish on the mediums. And Pierre Schulze now coming in for those mediums. So Pavlov ahead, still running on those starting soft tires. So he's really, like, these ones have to be balled. They've got to just be absolutely done at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for Peter, it's also not too unrealistic to think he's going to the end without stopping again, because lap 23 now, he did 23 laps on this set of tires, and now he only has to do another 21? So perhaps it's gonna be possible for him to do just a one stop, and
as long as he doesn't spin out again, then those tires should be able to do it, eh?
Obviously. And you would gain by that roughly 15 to 20 seconds. Obviously, you're going to lose the time when they have the fresher tires as well, but it's weighing against each other. It's a short track, of course, so the delta is maybe quite important.
And well, Peter Schulze, after his pit, has just come out in the middle of a Jonas Riera and Matt Lagalas. He's in 6th now, only about a second behind, a little bit over a second, to be honest, on Riera. We've seen how fast he is in comparison, so if he continues his pace from earlier, he should be able to catch up and overtake Riera. But like we said, how is he going to treat these tires? Is he going to just keep hammering away and not really care about them? And then when it comes to the later stages, maybe he just defends, you know? Holds onto that spot and just hope that it works. Meisen getting in the way of things a little bit as he darts across to the inside line. And, well, he has to hug that curb. He's got Matt Lagalas behind him, so he has to concede that place. And, yep, rightfully keeps on the inside, slows it on down a little bit, and lets Matt on through nice and easy. Jonas Riera under attack as Pierre Schulze gets it on the inside now. And, well, if I'm thinking about this, Pavlov, he's 21 seconds, 22 seconds ahead of Schulze now. That's about a whole pit stop time. So Pierre Schulze should rightfully be in 4th here, you know, because Pavlov still has to pit. Schulze, just have such a clean lap, buddy. Do not risk it. Don't spin out, because otherwise you're going to give me tears, dude.
Exactly. Getting into the right spots and then again spinning already 2 times. Let's hope he doesn't do it for a 3rd time. Knocking on wood here to break the commentator's curse, hopefully.
And it's interesting here because he's spun out like that because he's been in battles where he's trying to defend, he's trying to keep the speed up and everything like that upon his opponents. Whereas you look at the front 3, they're over 35 seconds ahead of Pierre Schulze here. And that speed difference, that sort of time difference is purely down to not spinning out. Neither one of the 3 forerunners have spun yet. And, of course, them not having the fight, meaning they have control of. They're all on the racing line, whereas Peter Schulze, Matt Legalas, Agents Riera haven't had that luxury, have they?
Yeah, exactly. Pavlov now into the pits though. So let's keep an eye on where he comes out, where Peter Schulze is. He's in the carousel right now. I think this is going to be pretty close.
Pavlov might just be able to hold on to it as they're coming out. Turn 1, near enough side by side. Peter Schulze going to be able, with the speed, to get ahead. But Pavlov in 5th. He has done better than what I was expecting. That definitely means pit stops looking roughly about 19 seconds here, Felix. That's going to be interesting for the second sort of set of pit stops that we should see coming up soon.
I think it's time to look back at the battle for the lead, because Tom van Egmond is within a second of Cameron Roger. I don't know what happened. Maybe Cameron made a mistake somewhere. Yes.
Yeah.
Or...
Last lap, Cameron Roger did a 1:09. Egmond did 1:07.5. So, to me, that looks like a mistake getting caught up in traffic.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and Reed is now 1.5 seconds behind Cameron Roger. So, Roger now got 2 drivers, which, no lie, 2 laps ago, Reed was 6 seconds behind Cameron Roger. He is now under so much threat from these guys behind.
Yeah, the fire is back into the battle of the lead here, and with only, with just over half of the race done, this is going to be exciting. They're both, or at least Tom van Egmond and Cameron Roger, are basically on the same strategy, 1 lap in between them, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, but Cameron Roger makes it around the carousel. 2 cars in tow behind, and Cameron Roger, we will be looking at his last lap times and seeing the difference. Oh, he is clawing back that time. Roughly about 1.5 tenths in front of Egmond and about 3.5 tenths in front of Reed. So as long as Roger doesn't get caught in traffic, he should be able to keep clawing back the speed. Egmond seemingly not getting much slipstream back there. It's probably that awkward stage, you know, where you can't get anything from, but you're so close. A little bit of a look up there from Egmond as well, but it seems not to be so damaged by it. He'll only lose about 1/10 from that. So he is still so within, you know, reaching distance of Roger here as they go over from turn 7 into 8th, 9th, and down the back straight, down Thunder Valley. They've got to go through turns 10, 11, and then into the carousel. These lads, this is where it can all be lost. Just keep that car under control. Don't give it too much welly on the exit, and you'll be able to just hold onto that spot. And really, it is all coming down to that throttle control around there, where the difference between each drivers, just the minute percentages, it is just shown. Egmond did have a little think about going on the inside, maybe trying to make Cameron make that move to the inside as well, but didn't quite work, and he will be stuck behind within half a second. Jacob Reed here, Felix. He's falling back. What do you take from that? Like, we saw it at the start where I feel like he just is a little bit too complacent. Like, he doesn't want to get into the mix. Like, maybe he's saving a lot of fuel. He's saving these tires. What do you think his strategy is here? Because he was the last to pit. So, realistically, I'm thinking where he pitted on that 50% mark, he could save these tires.
Yeah, I think if he's careful enough, he'll be able to make it to the end of the race on this set. And considering he's really close to Tom van Egmond and Cameron Roger, I think they really are, or at least Cameron probably is going to pit another time. He's got 15 laps to do when he's already done 15 laps on this set of tires. So it's gonna be a tough call, I think, for Cameron, because he is in the lead right now. But if he pits and the others don't pit, then basically race over for him. But if he doesn't pit and his tires just run out and don't work anymore, just basically running on the rims, I don't think that's going to be very beneficial for him as well. But Tom van Egmond now really close to the back of his car.
Yeah, Eggman really having a good look at it. Tries to get through. Oh, I think that's a little bit of a collision between the front nose and the back of Cameron Roger. And that seemingly just hurting Eggman a little bit. I don't know if Eggman's going to have to come in for any damage. Of course, it's quite hard to tell looking at the cameras if there's anything there, of course, with these models. Thinking about it again with the lap times and that all three of them now seemingly putting off the same lap times. Reed actually slowing down the most out of the three, purely because he's seemingly not wanting to get caught up and he's just wanting to keep on rough pace with the guys ahead, where he doesn't mind falling back by 3 attempts of Cameron Roger and Eggman, because he knows as long as he's near them, but putting on roughly the same pace without having to push his car too much. You know, he's now doing a 1.07. He's got to be saving those tires so much and pretty much just going for the most optimum line for tire life.
Yeah, exactly.
So Eggman unfortunately falling back by a second now to 1.5 seconds behind Cameron Roger. Purely, I want to say that little mistake, but you can't blame him there. They took off. You know, these cars literally for half a second go into flight mode after turn 7 there. As that little hill is just so unforgiving. Like I said, Dylan Scrimm's going off earlier and Thomas Lenz coming into the pits. He's going to be going on to, I would imagine, he's already gone onto the soft tyre for his first pit stops. This is him surely going on to the harder tyre for the rest of the race. Aleski Meisen is just DNF'd as well. That is unfortunate. So we're down to our last 11 drivers. And the closest battles at the moment are still that one for first between Cam Roger and Tom Van Egg. And then it's back roughly the fight for fifth between Matt De Geers, Pavlov and Riera. Who should we have a little look at? We going to stick with Roger up front, Felix, you think? Or is there any chance, do you think, of Matt Geers coming under a bit of fight? Because for me, the lads fighting for fifth, essentially, have been very much constant with their times. We're all just funneling through. They're not going to make the push yet. I'd imagine they'll wait until lap 38, 39, you know, where you've got those last sort of 6-7 laps. And then you push it right to the limit and try and force your opponents to make the mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. I think Vladislav is going to have a difficult time to really close into Matt. His lap times weren't as quick as Matt's until this last lap. Actually, it's the other way around. So Vladislav should be able to close in as he's
looking to close it. Yeah.
And
oh, Matt just went off.
Yeah, Matt just went off to the grass. Like we said before, the limits are very close. When you touch that grass, you're probably not going to stay on the tarmac. And there, Matt losing not a lot of time, but he does lose the position to Vladislav. And maybe Argenis is looking to capitalize on that mistake as well. He is a bit further back, though.
Yeah, again, it's about 2 seconds behind. Maybe pushing on 3, but the option is still there. Tom Van Eggman will take first place as Cameron Roger, first to pit on lap 32. Jacob Reed going in behind him as well. Okay, this has just got interesting. We thought Jacob Reed could make it to the end of the race on those tires. Instead, no, he's decided not. He's going to keep about the 2.5-3 seconds behind Roger. I am honestly baffled by what has happened there. I thought Jacob Reed would have been wanting to just control those tires and last whole distance, but of course, he thinks better of it. And Birakov has just unfortunately gone off, so he's down to 8th. Cameron Roger and Tom Van Eggman now, because Jacob Reed has lost time on that pit. He's now about 4 seconds behind Cameron Roger. Jacob Reed has got to be looking at Tom Van Eggman here and trying to force him to either pit now or to try and stay out. As long as Tom Van Eggman can on those higher tires and maybe make a mistake, but Tom Van Eggman, as I said, does come into the pits. And Birakov as well, just going past, tapping the grass a little bit as well. I'm just going to say it now here, Felix. I think he should go into the pits. Those tires look incredibly spent. Like, they are just done at this point if he cannot keep it straight along beside the pit lane, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God, as well. Have you just seen Tom Van Egmond only coming out of the pits now? Cameron Roger, Jacob Reed flying on straight past. Cameron Roger going through turn 2 and just out the opposite end of the keyhole. Same for Jacob Reed behind. But Tom Van Egmond, I am gobsmacked. He has just lost what I would think is about 7-8 seconds.
Yeah, that's correct, because normally a pit stop in the IndyCar Series takes about 7 seconds. His pit stop 13 seconds, so either he missed his pit box.
Was it the damage? Because you remember Tom Van Egmond went into the back of Cameron Rogers' car, so he's had to repair that damage. Do you think that is it?
That could be. Could definitely be it. But that's a shame for him, because he's now 10 seconds behind Jacob Reed and 12 seconds behind Cameron Roger.
Well, just seeing the update again, I'm looking at this going, Cameron Roger, just play a clean race now. We know what Reed can do. Reed seemingly like a tame little kitten today, like he's a house cat. He is not that lion who's going to pounce on you, you know? Instead, he's just went for the cuddles and he's happy coming in second. I mean, he could just flick that switch and let the inner beast out. But Tom Van Egmond, 7 seconds in 10 laps. We've seen the pace these lads are putting out. Do you think he can do it, Felix?
I don't know. It's a tough call.
And oh my. You know what I was saying about how Reed, we haven't seen that sort of line come out of him yet? He just posted a lap that was 1.8 seconds quicker than Cameron Rogers that last lap, and he's currently setting greens. Reed, he's flicked the switch. He is into fighter pilot mode, and he is fighting for the win today. It seems like he is done following. Tom Van Egmond is behind him, and well, he feels like one car is easy enough to overtake. Cameron Roger has got to be careful as Jacob Reed has actually just set the fastest lap of the race so far at 1.4.023. So close to the qualifying 1.3 times. Remember, only one driver. It was Tom Van Egmond was able to hit into the 1.2s and everyone else with the 1.3s. Jacob Reed starting to break new barriers in this race as he is closing it out, trying to just keep it ahead. That last lap, he went a whole second faster than Cameron Roger. Felix, at this point, you know, Jacob Reed is currently 1.5 seconds behind Roger. Do you think Roger can look in his back mirrors and see Reed getting closer and starting to get a little bit scared? And what do you think Roger's option is here? Because, of course, he's not using up the tyres as much as Reed must have to. Do you think he's just going to wait and then defend super hard?
I think he's getting a bit of trouble here with the back marker. But not too much at the end there. But I think Cameron, he has led races and he has won races before, so he knows what to do and what not to do. I think it's for him, with only 7 laps remaining, just stay calm, keep the pace consistent at least. Don't try to push the car too hard, push the tires too hard. And then if Jacob gets closer, he's pushing. If he gets closer, just try to make your car as wide as possible, defend the lines, and don't do anything stupid, first of all, because then you'll both end up in the wall, or only yourself, and then it just ends in tears. So it's just about keeping it consistent, keeping it clean and stable, and then also, of course, be quick.
Oh, snap. Okay, so just in now, Cameron Rogers set his fastest lap of the race at 1.4.3, but a new fastest lap of the entire race was set by Tom Van Egmond 1.3.6 roughly. It was 5.99, so as close as you can get. Aleski Meisen as well has unfortunately just had to DNF, so we're down to our last 10 drivers from the starting 15. But Tom Van Egmond, just like Jacob Reed, has flicked the switch and gone into overdrive here. Cameron Roger is responding, but he's not giving it his all. He's like on 90% mode right now. Jacob Reed, 95% mode, and Egmond on that full 100. At this point, I think 110 with the laps he's able to put out here, Felix.
Yeah, massively quick lap times from Van Egmond, but also we know the limit is very close, so let's hope he keeps it within those limits. Again, the back marker in front of him now was in a little trouble. Oh, somebody in front of Van Egmond spun there. Ooh. That was a bit close. I think it was Kirill Burakov there.
Yeah, it was Burakov indeed. Who, I don't know how to say it, has got 9th pretty solidly, as Farah is a fair bit behind. Don't want to be mean about it, but it's just how it is. Jacob Reed now within a second of his opponent ahead, Tom Van Egmond. He is closing it, but not quick enough, I think, for this race. We're looking at it now. We're coming down to the last 6 laps here, Felix, and Egmond has somehow got to get 7 seconds back and an overtake within 6 laps. I can't see that happening. Jacob Reed, definitely much more favorable, as we have seen his pace. He's roughly going about half a second quicker than Cameron Roger ahead of him, and I think even on this lap, we could see Reed make the overtake. So definitely all eyes on him right now. And all eyes will remain on him, I hope, anyway, if Felix has got the camera on Reed. It's going around, looking to come up to China Beach now. So they make their way around there. Oh, a little bit of sliding coming out from Reed. So he just definitely has been pushing those tires a little bit more and is starting to feel the pain. So the move has to come sooner rather than later, and then he holds down the defensive. That has got to be the strategy right now as we come down to the last 10% of the race. These drivers have been driving it for so long around this track. Definitely endurance is coming into this as Reed, unfortunately, is losing time to Cameron Roger, who has been just so consistent, pulling out 104.5s throughout the entire last stint of this tire. He knows how to play this. He is not going to risk those tires, not going to spot them. He knows the drivers behind Van Egmond and Reed are closing in on him, but as long as he defends well, as long as he does not overcook it into any of these turns, he should be able to, when they start really threatening, get within half a second, just pull out an extra half a second a lap from himself and just put on that little bit of overdrive and keep himself ahead. He is being just the 200 IQ play here. Yeah, Felix, I'm looking at this Van Egmond. He just cannot crack it. He's only being able to put out 0.4 seconds on the other two, and that's purely because he's putting out 104 laps. And he's consistently doing it, but it is just not enough. I can't see Van Egmond getting higher than 3rd in this race as we're coming down to the last 4 laps. These guys currently on the first of those 4s, and Reed backed off. He's gone quiet again here, Felix, and I'm a little bit worried for that.
Yeah, Ton is a bit. I don't know. He's struggling a bit too much now on his tires and not able to get those lap times he was able to do earlier. Maybe he just overpushed the tires in the first 3 laps of his stint, and then now they're just done.
Well, Burakov going into the pits. He is at the back. He unfortunately had that spin out, and Ferro, who I thought was way too far behind, has made up onto that. And there we go. Burakov has just DNF from the race. So that means only 9 drivers left in it. And the 2 that I really care about at this point The only two that are still in a fight is the fight for first, the best fight of them all, of course. 1 second separating these two, Roger and Reed. The double R's. And, well, they are rocking on ahead, putting on 104s just consistently. No other driver on the track, apart from, of course, Connor Van Egmond, has even been able to touch the 104. And Reed and Egmond were able to touch 103 in this race. So it just shows the caliber of skill that these three have been able to provide. Van Egmond, unfortunately, just cutting it too close. He wants it too much, going into the back of Roger and getting that damage, to which he had to repair. But Roger here, absolute masterclass, I'd say, of leading a race. The amount of stress that is being put on him by Reed behind, and just the ability to control it and not make mistakes, has been wonderful, hasn't it, Felix?
Yeah, he's just been almost flawless throughout the whole race. Done the pace. We saw he was a lot quicker than Van Egmond after he overtook him. Made one mistake where he lost the time to Van Egmond he already gained, but after that was able to relatively quickly gain that speed once again, or gain that time once again to Tom Van Egmond. And now Jacob Reed trying to put pressure on him. 1 second between them, but only a couple of corners left. I don't think Jacob is going to be able to do it.
It's definitely hard. We're on the last lap, of course. And Roger coming into Thunder Valley, making his way out the back, coming down to the carousel. Are we on the last lap? I think this is the last lap. Yeah, it is. I'm always getting confused about that with rFactor. But there we have it, going off wide, spinning through. Cameron Roger going to be happy as can be, setting a race time of 49 minutes, 44 seconds, and 8 tenths. Literally 0.363 seconds between first and second. Jacob Reed and Cameron Rogers side by side. What a showing there of sportsmanship between the two. They have put on a fantastic race. Van Egmond behind, finishing up, unfortunately 8.2 seconds behind, but the trio of them, Egmond catching up, they're lining up in formation, wiggling their little cars like a happy dog's butt. And, well, I cannot blame them. It has been a fantastic drive from the trio.
Yeah, great stuff. Great battling between them.
Sorry, I have to laugh. No, I'm laughing at Peter Schulze. Like, Cameron Roger, Jacob Reed, and Egmond as well, retiring. But those three, like, doing a little drive around, making it all, like, quite nice and having a little show. And Peter Schulze just goes slams into a wall straight away.
Yeah. I think it was done with today. We saw he was strong, Peter Schulze. He had his moments, but then also had his downside moments when he spun twice and basically lost a lot of time.
Yeah, it is unfortunate there. Cameron Roger doing the donuts, the celebratory ones, of course. He has earned them, I would say.
Definitely.
Maybe a coffee to go along with those donuts as well, Felix.
Exactly.
Of course, everyone makes their way back to the pits. Andy Pierce Schulze still left out on track. There we go. The truck has come along and picked up his car. But all in all, fantastic race. Have a little bit of a rundown, why don't we? As we look at it again, your race winner, Cameron Roger, followed behind in second by Jacob Reed. That leaves bronze for Tom Van Egmond, fourth for Peter Schulze, fifth for Matt Legeaz, sixth for Vladislav Pavlov, seventh for Argenis Riera, eighth will be Christian Lazaro, ninth would be Dionis Faro, 10th will be Kirill Birikov, 11th will be Alexei Maizin, 12th Thomas Lenz, 13th Dylan Scrivens, 14th Chris Cobb, and 15th will be Thomas Watt. I don't know, roughly, I'm just quickly having a look where that comes into it, of course, because naturally with those DNFs, some of those backline drivers might not be eligible. It's looking like from Dionis Ferraro and upwards, are going to be getting points. And unfortunately, Kirill, Birikov, Leski, Mizin, Lenz, Scrivens, Cobb, and Wack will unfortunately not be getting any points, Felix.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, we've seen some action today. Great racing and amazing tension between the drivers at the front of the pack, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely at the front as well as the middle. And just as the example of the tension at the front of the track, like the top three, Cameron Roger, Jacob Reed, and Tom Van Egmond, is actually the lad who finishes in third, Tom Van Egmond, who is going to come out with the extra point for the fastest lap of the race. And that for me just shows the whole case between the three, where Tom Van Egmond did, you know, after he had made that mistake and had to lose, it was roughly like 7 seconds due to the repairs in the pit lane. He was trying to claw it back, wasn't he? But it was that case of too much, and I think he did overcook a few turns and unfortunately couldn't claw back any space at all, because the lads in front, Cameron Roger, was putting on, like we said, a masterclass of just a clean race that there was no mistakes from. And Jacob Reed, we have to just, you know, tip our hats to him. 4 seconds he was after that pit stop, and he was able to claw it back within 0.3 seconds. He was so close. One extra lap in this race, and we could have seen Reed come out with the win.
Yeah, I think that's not something to rule out. And unfortunately, it's only 45 laps for Reed.
Yep.
Good for Cameron Roger, it's only 45 laps probably. But it's nice to see those tensions, and we've seen great racing, and that's all I can ask for from these drivers.
Yeah, well, it just leads a bit more, you know, feisty action to really come from the next round, isn't it? Round 4, which is going to be at Mosport. Actually, no, it's changing over to Road America, if I remember right, isn't it?
It's
so. Go on.
It's indeed changed to Road America last week because the Mosport track wasn't as ready as we would have hoped. So in 2 weeks' time, we will be racing there at Road America again for 100 miles. So that will be 25 laps long, or a 1 hour time limit. But I think we won't reach that limit. We haven't done that so far. So make sure to tune in for that in 2 weeks' time. And I think for us, it's time to close off.
Yeah, but it's definitely time to close off. So once again, quick rundown of the top three. Cameron Roger takes gold, Jacob Reed with the silver, of course, and that leaves Tom Van Egmond in third, with not only the fastest qualifying lap for that extra point, but also the fastest race lap for that point. And these three are going to be exciting when we go into Road America. Is that next week or is it the week after? I'm just quickly...
2 weeks, the 9th of
2
December.
weeks, yeah. We get a little break week, don't we?
Exactly.
So 9th of December, guys, make sure you come back for that. Make sure, if you fancy it as well, like we said, this is free to come sign up in. There sometimes are a couple of IndyCars. I know we definitely had a couple of spaces left today, didn't we, Felix? So if you fancy it, you don't have to pay anything at all. Just come along, have a bit of fun, and get involved with the community. Of course, the Discord, everything is there. The website is your best place to near enough go and have a look at all that. That is formula-simracing.net. The hyphen being the little dash in the center, of course. So make sure you come over there. Just have a little look at everything that is going on. And who knows, if it's your first time, you're not the biggest fan of Indy, well, next season we'll be back with some good old Formula 1 again. And that is in 3 divisions. So even if you're not the best driver in the world, just come have a little bit of fun. But until 2 weeks' time at Road America, it'll be myself, Corey Dyer, joined in the booth by none other than Felix van Delft. It has been a fantastic day of racing. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.